Morning.
Good Tuesday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. Getting us started this Tuesday, a potential default on America's debt and what's going on with Facebook. Reporter Joe St. George joins us live from Washington, D.C. this morning with the latest. Now, good morning, Joe. Let's get right into it. What will it take to get the debt issue resolved before that October 18th deadline?
Yeah, good morning, Victoria. People are waking up, they're having their coffee, they're having their eggs with us. They may not be thinking about the debt, a wonky political term oftentimes, but boy, this debt ceiling debate has a big impact, not only on the global economy, potentially, but on your wallets waking up with us. It would have a much more significant impact than a government shutdown, which a lot of Americans have become familiar with because of the political divisions over the last several years. During a default, which has never happened in our country, Social Security checks would be delayed. Social Security checks go out during a government shutdown. Child tax credit payments would be delayed. Service member benefits, veteran benefits would be potentially suspended as well. And I got to be honest, Victoria, as we chat this morning, I'm not entirely sure how this ends. Democrats believe that this is a bipartisan problem. They want Republicans to basically drop their position and vote to raise the debt ceiling. They're going to have a lot of political pressure to do that over the course of the next several days and weeks. Meanwhile, Republicans believe Democrats should do this on their own, and they do have the ability to do this on their own, but so far Democrats have been reelected to do just that. So it's a big issue, a big deal with potentially major impacts for the global economy, and as we chat this morning, it's just really unclear how this one ends.
Now let's move on to the topic of Facebook. The whistleblower Frances Haugen will testify before Congress today. So what is it that the government can do to prevent misinformation on social media?
Well, this hearing is just part of a larger effort in Congress, to some degree, to provide some oversight over Facebook and to continue the debate behind the scenes of whether or not there needs to be more congressional laws to limit the amount of influence that Facebook has on a lot of our lives, whether it's misinformation that's posted online, whether it's who has access to the information that is being shared and posted. This is going to be a pretty dramatic moment when this whistleblower testifies today here on Capitol Hill, because she's going to say that Facebook has a lot of flaws. This is not something that Mark Zuckerberg, that Facebook officials are looking forward to, because she's going to be very critical of the role that Facebook has played in political divisiveness among children, the impact on young people and young people's lives. So it's going to be a fascinating hearing. What the big question is whether anything concrete actually changes after the testimony takes place. Stay tuned.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to hear it. I think we were all thinking about this. We'll definitely confirm those thoughts that we've had. Well, thank you so much, Joe, and you have a great day. Thank you.
Take care.
Now it's time to turn our attention to weather with Miller here with us on the set on this Tuesday. Another warm day in the future, right? It's
Speaking of Facebook,
like
did anybody get through yesterday when Facebook? I mean,
I didn't.
I think the whole world shut down, didn't it?
I didn't. I didn't even notice it was down.
I didn't either until my daughter said something. Dad, wait a minute, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Verizon, everything was shutting down yesterday. It was crazy.
Didn't even know. We were living our lives and making memories, and so I was like, oh, Facebook shut down? Okay.
Well, in case anybody's wondering, it's back up. So everybody exhale now. All right, weather-wise, yesterday it was warm. Today, not only are we going to be warm, could we see some record warmth? We'll tell you about that coming up here in just a bit with the main forecast. 61 right now at the airport, warmer than normal to start. Humidity down to 18%. Another dry day today. Winds out of the west at about 14 miles an hour. Quickly crunch some numbers. Yesterday our high got up to 85, a good 20 degrees above average. Overnight low only got down to about 48. Top gust yesterday of 22. No rain yesterday, no rain today. Maybe by Thursday our chances will start to come back into play. As we wake up this morning, for the most part, very quiet out there. Look at that heat today. Some of us getting into the 90s. Who could see record warmth? We'll tell you about that coming up. And is there the possibility we start talking about snow? Victoria.
Always could be. Could just be.
What's that all about? I'll let you know coming up.
All right. Sounds good. And I will get back to news. Thank you so much, Miller.
Okay.
Now on to the latest on the pandemic. What a difference a few months can make. Billings residents are now lining up to get vaccinated. Riverstone Health held a vaccine clinic at MSUB on Monday, and more than 100 people showed up in just the first 2 hours. In fact, it got so busy, extra nurses were called in to help. Some people were there to get their first dose while others were getting the booster. Around 9,000 people in Montana have opted to get booster shots so far, some hoping to do their part to keep cases down.
So I did 30 years in the military, so I've had about every shot known to man. And there is a certain self-confidence and just kind of being prepared for whatever. I've got friends that had the vaccine and had COVID later, and they're very appreciative of the fact that they had the vaccine.
The clinic was giving out the Pfizer booster and a third dose of Moderna. They were offered to those 65 and older, essential workers, people living in long-term care, folks at an increased risk of infection or serious illness, and pregnant women. Johnson & Johnson will seek authorization this week for its COVID booster shot. And then the FDA will meet with an advisory committee later this month to discuss it. Johnson & Johnson is the last company in the U.S. to request approval for an additional shot. In campus news, ground is broken on the state's first medical school. In 2023, Rocky Vista University will welcome its first class to a brand new $50 million campus on Billings West End. At a ceremony yesterday, city officials said the school will create more than 300 jobs and generate $67 million for the community every year. Rocky Vista leadership says they hope the university will help address Montana's shrinking number of doctors.
It is our hope that through the development of partnerships within the region and by making medical education more accessible to Montana residents, we can make a positive impact on this physician shortage.
Right now, Montana ranks 30th in the nation for number of physicians per capita. Meanwhile, MSU Billings is celebrating a return to normal after a down enrollment year many blamed on the pandemic. This year's freshman class is 10% larger than fall of 2020. However, the 2020 numbers were a full 9% worse than 2019. So while the increase may have been somewhat minor, university officials say there is still plenty to be excited about on campus.
We're also seeing an increase in our transfer students. So I'm seeing students coming from the community colleges in our region to transfer here to be able to finish their bachelor's degrees. I'm also really excited about the graduate student numbers that we are seeing for our Native American population. That number is up by 23% from last fall.
MSUB joins UM and MSU with increased freshman class numbers. MSU welcomed its largest freshman class ever this fall. Near Lewistown, firefighters are battling a 5,000-acre wildfire, which is now threatening some structures. The South Moccasin fire started just before 1 in the morning on Monday. More than 50 firefighters are battling the flames from the ground, and crews attacked it from the air on Monday as well. No evacuation orders are in effect, but nearby residents are doing everything they can to protect their homes.
You know, we have been putting sprinklers on some of the structures, got our cows are all down here, and then cut a bunch of fence so the neighbors' cows can get out of the mountains, and then making sure they get some of the working vehicles down here.
The fire is currently being managed as a Type 3 incident, and fire behavior is extreme. Fall is here, football season is underway, and Sportsbet Montana is seeing increasing revenue. MTN's Sean Riley digs into the numbers to see how well the program is taking off.
Sportsbet Montana is doing well, according to the Montana Lottery, although they had an unusual launch to say the least. Billed as a significant moneymaker for the state when proposed to legislators, the program launched March 11, 2020, with kiosks restricted to bars, restaurants, and casinos. And then this happened.
The conference announced on Thursday morning that the remainder of the men's and women's basketball tournaments would be canceled, as other major college tournaments and pro sports around the United States were taking similar measures as this outbreak continues.
Governor Bullock today ordered statewide closures of dine-in food services and alcoholic beverage businesses to better help with the spread of COVID-19.
Restaurants, bars, and casinos reopened in the following months, with most professional sports returning by September. So, how has Sportsbet Montana performed outside the pandemic closures? From September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021, 926,000 bets were wagered, totaling a little under $44.5 million. The total payout to bettors was $38.8 million, with around $5.6 million going to gross gaming revenue. Impressive numbers considering the Montana Lottery has done very little in terms of advertising or awareness because of the pandemic. Yet people are still finding the kiosks.
You know, to launch into an unexpected headwind like COVID and still have the kinds of sales that we're having, I mean, sports betting is consistently our number 2 product in terms of sales, which to catch up to 30-year run of a successful lottery in a year's time is pretty darn good.
Currently, the state is holding events at venues that offer the game to help educate the public about what it is and how to make bets. There are 434 Sportsbet Montana retail locations across the state, ranging from big cities like Billings to small ones like Baynesville. As for what sports people in Montana are wagering on, basketball was number 1, followed by baseball and football. The average bet was around $48, with 80% of bets happening pre-game. Due to new legislation, Montana also saw changes to sports pools and sports tabs games this year, which are regulated by the Department of Justice, not lottery. Previously, those games were capped at how much a person could wager, with a total of a $2,500 payout. But as of October 1st, there is no limit on what can be wagered, nor how much can be paid out in those games. And unlike Sportsbet Montana, the state doesn't see a cut. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Thank you so much, John. Well, ladies and gentlemen, turns out none of us won the Powerball. Unfortunately, for all of us here in Montana and Wyoming, the winning ticket was sold in California. The jackpot soared to about $700 million to become the 5th largest Powerball jackpot in history. It was the 7th largest jackpot in lottery history. There was no Powerball winner since June. The California Lottery says the winning ticket was sold at a grocery store in Morro Bay, which is on the coast near San Luis Obispo. Thank you so much for starting your Tuesday with us here on Montana This Morning.